episode 325 of Global from Asia 325. Talking about Africa, sitting here in Asia, truly global. Global from Asia, global from anywhere. Global, let's go.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Thank you, everybody, for again choosing to download Global from Asia. Hope you can find it on iTunes, and actually, we're all over the place. Our team's putting on YouTube now, and we're getting out. My amazing wife, Wendy, is helping us get it to WeChat, and we're trying to get as many places as possible. I'm recording this just after an amazing GFA VIP call. I think it was one of our best ever, about 30 great people, really amazing people. And thank you, Rollins, for sharing. We talked about Amazon hacks, and it was really amazing, actually. And we're trying some new technology. There's all these new events software, online event software. So we're trying to make it more interactive. So if you're interested in that, it is pretty cool. All right. So for this week's show, what's going on is Africa. Marek, he's an amazing entrepreneur, very, very well experienced, and has gone through various startups from Poland, and he got to Africa, wrote a book about it. It's really a Chasing Black Unicorns. It's an amazing book. I actually went through a whole book, and then I was happy to connect with him, and we got him on this show. So it's a journey show. He talks about his experiences, and following his dreams, following his passion, and I hope more people out there can do that. Maybe also this whole COVID craziness and this whole world we're in, we should just realize life is short. We got to make the most of it, and he definitely does. So this is a cool one. We put it under the lifestyle category, and the cultures. We talk about his experiences doing business in Africa and internationally, and how really important it is to do. So without further ado, let's dive into the show. GFAVIP.com is our premium paid membership application only, where you can get on our regular online events, online meetings. Of course, we have courses, and when we do have offline events, you'll get privileged access, or maybe only member access. Plus, it supports the show. GFAVIP.com. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our Global from Asia podcast. We are venturing into Africa. I had the pleasure to read a book. I'm always interested in these stories, Chasing Black Unicorns, and it's an amazing story. We'll talk about that in the interview. We have with us Marek Zimlowski, Polish-born entrepreneur and executive focused on online business and renewable energy, passionate about frontier and emerging markets. So thank you for joining us today and coming on the show.
Thanks for the invitation. Great to be here. Hi, Mike.
Yeah. I feel like we were saying before the recording, I felt might as well go here, Asia and Africa, I do feel like there is some similarities, right? I mean, it's emerging markets and a lot of opportunities, and people like us crazy enough to try to venture into these markets.
Oh, yeah. I mean, besides having many differences, there are many similarities between the regions. For sure, the potential and the speed of growth, I guess Asia beats Africa in terms of speed of growth, but I think the speed of growth of both regions are extremely, extremely fast. For us, I'm coming from economies which are a little bit older, a little bit more boring in a way. You enter this region where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of movement. Not everything is always extremely well organized, especially in Africa.
Yeah,
that's very exciting and addictive in a way. And also, when you land in Kenya or when you land in Nigeria or sometimes Angola, you actually feel like you're in China, or sometimes you feel like you've landed in another Asian country because of how many Asian people you can just find on the streets and in the companies, in the shops,
really,
in any main big African city. I think just because I know the best statistics about China. I think you have around 20 million Chinese people already living in Africa. It's a huge number.
I have met some friends Chinese friends that have gone there for work, for their companies and stuff. Yeah, I agree with that one. Well, we're diving.
Yeah.
We kind of jumped right in, man. So it's
Yeah.
great. But do you want to give us obviously there's a long and a short background for you with what you've done, but Polish born entrepreneur, and I at least I get it from the book on entrepreneur startup. You want to give us a little bit of your early
Oh,
days?
sure. Yeah. So Polish born and raised. Spent my teenage years in Poland, and then opened my first real business back in Poland. And my life can be really divided into three parts, because I launched one of the first financial brokerage companies in Poland, and that was like the early 2000s, before the Lehman Brothers. It was like in the middle of the biggest boom in Poland. So I joined the company as employee number 5. Then there was like 5,000 of us. It was almost like Wolf of Wall Street, just without sex on the plane, and
Yeah.
without the legal stuff. Because no one got to jail, or there was no problem with the police. And then I kind of fell in love with. Obviously, I lost my money, became too crazy, almost went bankrupt after Lehman. Ended up being a bartender, and then my second stage of my life started when I fell in love with startups, because I just saw there's a big opportunity, a lot of investment money coming in. The companies were growing like crazy. That was amazing for me. And I spent a couple years trying to build some online companies in Poland, with some smaller, bigger successes. A couple of them went down, but I was able to sell another one. And then my third stage, most exciting, I guess, for me at least, of my life, was when I moved to Nigeria in 2013, working for a big European investment fund focused on online businesses.
Yep.
And we started in Nigeria a big e-commerce group that ended up on New York Stock Exchange last year.
Yeah.
And that was like a 5 years adventure of just basically building the so-called Amazon of Africa, because obviously we wanted to be as cool as Amazon
It's crazy
in Nigeria, but it's a totally different story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's just break it up a little bit, but I think I remember you were talking about, I think it was funeral services in the book. You talk about in Poland, you were kind of making a website for funerals, or for at least one of your ventures. That was a cool story, and then the mafia was getting into it or something, or in it.
Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead.
That was basically it. But yeah, I mean, you're even kind of relating, like, Poland. I have, like I said before recording, I went to Polish Catholic high school in the U.S., and I have some really good Polish friends, but it is a little bit rougher. It's not west. Is it central, western? Is it west? I guess it's Western Europe, but
it's considered east. So we are either called the Germans of the east or the Russians of the west. Usually, that's how Poland is always described, being in between those two countries. It was definitely an early stage market, an emerging market, but clearly way more advanced than Nigeria. But
exactly,
there was a lot of corruption back in the day. There was also a lot of chaos and so on. So not too much trust in the market. Definitely, my experiences in Poland then prepared me well for Nigeria.
Sure.
And yeah, you mentioned the funeral business. I always had this crazy approach to business, that I really like to build businesses at the very early stage where no one else wants to do it, because I don't like competition. So when you don't like competition, you have to go to markets where everyone else is afraid of. So I figured I chose funeral business as an online business in Poland, because those were the times, the days when everyone wanted to build another Facebook, everyone wanted to build another MySpace or Twitter and so on. And all the cool, young, smart kids were trying to do the social media thing. And I figured, if all of these brightest minds are trying to open a business in social media or fintech, none of them will want to open a business in funeral sector, because it's just not sexy at all. But the technology disruption was happening there as well. People needed to use more software when they were running those funeral houses, and people were looking for those services online as well. So it was a niche which I found very interesting, but also very tough.
Yeah, I
um,
mean, we can go so. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I mean, your book is great, and it's a big book. So I mean, people welcome to read for the full story. I think we could focus in Africa. I mean, we could also have
mhm.
one about Poland. There's so much to talk about. But yeah, you didn't mention the names, but you meant. I mean, I think listeners should know Rocket Internet. I even encountered Rocket Internet over here in Asia. I could share a little bit, but I remember they were going crazy in Hong Kong when they bought Groupon bought them, bought the
Ye- yeah. Groupon bought our yes. So Rocket Internet we're pretty strong in Indonesia, Philippines, Hong
well
Kong,
they
as you mentioned, Singapore,
Lazada. I think they started
Lazada.
Lazada,
Yeah,
and they
Lazada was
also
bought by Alibaba.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So, but I was in Hong Kong and China, bouncing back and forth, and I almost worked for. I was maybe could have been one of the 5 or 10 first employees of Groupon Hong Kong.
Oh, nice.
Um,
That's very nice.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So
do it,
Rocket
but
Internet.
they were going crazy fast. They were just felt like they were hiring everybody. Like, yeah, it was insane.
You want to grow faster than anyone else. Yeah. That was the investment thesis really. You because Rocket Internet is really like top three in terms of e-commerce groups worldwide after Alibaba and Amazon. They just are not that known because they have many brands in many countries. And that investment thesis was very simple: enter the market as early as possible, grow as
Yeah,
fast as possible, buy competition, destroy the competition, just do whatever it takes to be number one. Because the assumption is that once we're number one, it's easier to remain number one in a specific business model.
yeah,
And then once you remain the number one position and the market itself grows because the clients just start buying everything online just because, then you're going to grow together with the market. That was always the
makes sense.
strategy. And it
Although
worked very
they
well
they
in
had
Asia.
trouble in China for sure, but I guess everybody has trouble in China. But
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I was
China
watching
is
it
is
my
a
own
case study on
eyes.
its own. Yeah.
That's a whole
Yeah.
nother topic. But yeah, I mean, China is obviously different for everybody. But yeah, so that was a great opportunity. So in the book, I think we should talk about the discussion because a lot of listeners here, we're a lot of listeners are sellers, e-commerce sellers buying from China or Asia, selling in the West, Amazon or e-commerce, or doing import export is kind of our niche here. But everybody does business. So I remember in the book you had this difficult discussion where you took the opportunity to go to Africa and join this early stage with Rocket to start this new venture. Um, you had to obviously have a really hard talk with one of your business partners or investors. Do you want to share about that? I think that would be really insightful.
Are you talking about the Interpol problems? Or which
Before
one?
Interpol, well, this is your Poland. I forget which venture you were doing in Poland at the
The similar
time, but you
ones. I was talking
decided
about
to.
the interview. Yeah.
Well, you had accepted the offer at Rocket, but then you went back to your partners in your current
Ah,
venture,
okay. I get you. Yeah,
and you had
yeah,
to tell them
yeah.
you were going to Africa and leaving.
I know what you mean. Okay, so yes, my business partner, he was my angel investor. Then we became partners in my funeral online funeral business in Poland. He was a great guy. By the way, he spent many years in Japan,
Oh, cool.
and then he came back to Poland. And we had this, pretty interesting business, having opportunity to grow from Poland to Czech Republic, maybe Romania, so going to other Eastern European countries. But at that stage, I was already hungry of some global adventure, like big scale, rocket internet, going to Africa, just doing something crazy.
Yeah.
And I got this job offer to join them, and I did all that without even telling him a thing. And I had this dinner. During this dinner, we're talking about the expansion of our own startup. And
Yeah.
then after the main course, before the dessert, I'm saying, what about you just buy my shares and you do it everything on your own, and I just move to Africa.
That is crazy.
And yeah, I just remember the look on his face, and obviously he was upset and everything. But he told me something, which even till today we're great friends because of how he reacted. Then he said, "I mean, if I were you, I would totally do it," because he knew that the adventure I was about to embark on was pretty similar to his adventure when he was moving to Japan in the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
So it's like you're gonna grow as a person on so many levels you can't even imagine.
Agreed.
You don't even know. And I didn't know back then. And then I realized after a couple of years what he meant. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, same here. I mean, living abroad just changes your whole perspective of, like world life, business. Yeah, totally.
everything, absolutely everything. And I
Yeah.
spent all my life in Poland until I was 23. Sorry, 26.
Okay.
And Poland is a very homogeneous country. Homogeneous. There's like everyone is white and Catholic. I
I have those Polish friends.
you know what
They
I mean.
bring it to the U.S. It's like they got the Polish community, and it's like the I know the
The same.
Catholic, the Catholic, and then there's the basement with the sausage, or it's not sausage, but um,
Yes, and the
it's-
sausages, correct.
yeah, yeah, and the vodka. Oh man, the drinking. Yeah, okay.
I see you've tasted it. I can hear.
Yeah, too many times in my previous life. so so now let's go into Africa. So yeah, you took this opportunity to join Rocket and start I'm forgetting the names. Jumia is but it was
Jumia,
actually
yeah.
is that the same? There was the travel and then there was e-commerce, and I remember I
So we launched 7 business models in total at once. There was this online travel. I was responsible for online travel. Then we launched e-commerce. We launched marketplace. We also launched classifieds for real estate and cars. We've launched even ride hailing, and we've launched food delivery. Ride hailing we had to kill very fast because the market was not ready or we were not good enough. And after 2 years, we decided to kind of merge them all under one brand and thinking about doing this one super app. And then we were growing like as Jumia for the next
got
years
it.
to come.
Yep. So let's just call it Jumia then for this. So you go to Africa, and I haven't been to Africa, honestly. I've been in China, well, Asia. There's mostly China, but Asia for 13 years. I haven't been to Africa yet. It's on my list, but I don't even know. I mean, I always think about getting, like all these vaccinations and shots. I think you mentioned it in your book as well. But what was this? What's this going through your first time to leave Poland? You're preparing to fly to Africa. I think it was pretty short notice. What was the
Oh
how
yeah, I
and then
mean
getting there and then adjusting. How was all that?
everything now looks like it all made sense from hindsight, but it didn't back then. I just knew I want to embark on this international adventure with Rocket Internet, and I would go anywhere they would send me. And the funny thing was that I actually was thinking I'm going to go to Egypt for a couple of weeks. Uh, and then they just told me, no, we're launching Nigeria first. And the only thing I knew about Nigeria back then really was what Google told me, which was Boko Haram and some Nigerian prince scammers. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, right? The
that's all I
emails.
knew.
Yeah.
But I didn't really care because I had nothing to lose. I was so excited about finally joining this. Working for Rocket Internet for an online entrepreneur from Poland is like driving for Formula One for Ferrari. You know?
Awesome.
Because you want to work with them for these 2 years and you're gonna learn so much. So I was just so excited, and I'm like, okay, Nigeria, the harder the better. I don't care. And and then, to be honest, I was actually lucky that my personality and my background from Poland would really prepare me well to Nigeria. But that was a huge coincidence because after 6 months in Nigeria, most of my friends were already gone. The churn was so big, yeah.
Yep.
Because Nigeria is just so different on so many levels, culture-wise than Poland. Infrastructure is a big issue. People are shouting. They're all very expressive. When they love you,
Hmm.
they will tell you. When they hate you, they will tell you. It's also like the contradiction, I think, of a Asian stereotype, if I can call it like this. Yeah, when
Yep.
when when Asian people are considered very polite, this is the total opposite in Western Africa, for example. I mean, they're very laughable and they smile at you and everything, but everything when something goes wrong, they're gonna just go crazy after against you.
There's like big
And
African communities in different parts of China. I've experienced that. So
you did, yeah. Then there's thing of just timing. There's this joke that we have the watches, they have the time. uh, Having a problem. Everything is just done in such a different way, and this is a risky thing because if you're used to certain things being done in a different way, you can get easily frustrated. And there's there's this joke that I want to tell you that kind of it gives you an image of what I'm trying to say. The joke goes this: what's the difference between a tourist and a racist in Nigeria? And the answer is a week.
Oh man.
which basically means if you don't allow yourself to change your attitude, if you don't open your mind, and if you don't understand that certain things are just done differently, it doesn't mean they're better, it doesn't mean they're worse, they're just different. If you don't change your mindset, you will end up being a racist, because everything will frustrate you to a point that you will really, really hate it.
Yeah.
And this is very, I think, relevant in life, but this is also very relevant in business.
That's true. Yeah, it makes me think of China. Like when I first came to China, I was thinking like a lot of Westerners, why are they doing things not so efficiently? I can kind of standardize this. I can make it better the way things are done. Because I was trying to buy from factories before inefficiently when I was in the U.S. for my business, and similar. We go there and we think we can change China, or they will adjust to the way I think is better to do something, right?
Yeah.
And then usually most foreigners, especially Americans, go nuts because you just look at this trade war. We think Donald Trump thinks he can change China. Like it's just not possible. So if you don't, I think somebody said to me, "You have three things can happen to me. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna have a breakdown, or I'm gonna deal with it." I think something like that. Yeah, like a friend I
You went
met here.
number 3, I hope.
Yeah, I'm still here, man. I'm still here. So yeah, I learned to deal with it, which is somewhat almost bad though in a way, because you kind of, I think there's TIA, there's TIC. Do you know what I'm talking about? This is Africa.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
China.
This is China.
Then you get that. It's almost a little bit. You almost go the opposite, because now you become so local. See,
Yeah.
it's a little bit balanced. You still want, at least me, I still try to be a foreigner, to localize a little bit too much. But so this, let's I think you've kind of been talking about these points I have on my list here, but relationship building, you were kind of sourcing all these hotels, and it, it's and it seems like you're a make it happen kind of person. There's a huge amount of pressure. There was culture differences, KPIs. How maybe just focus on relationship building and maybe dealing with these different environments and cultures. I think you were in the attic of some of the Rocket Internet, and you had like one room and a desk and like 2 people or something, something like that.
Yeah, we started very small. We just rented this huge villa, and then each of the companies just took a small place. Because I was late there, I think I arrived last. They gave me this tallest floor when there was no AC and there was a rat in my room, but I didn't care. It was just so much fun. Yeah, it was super important because I was responsible for launching this essentially booking.com version of Africa to book hotels online. And obviously the technology part, the product part is important to have a website that works. But if you don't get deals with the hotels, you'll never be able to offer any bookings. And
Yeah.
And there was like 10,000 hotels in Nigeria, and maybe 500 of them knew the concept of an online travel agency, like booking.com back then. So I actually had to explain them how a deal works and why they should pay me 10 or 15% for giving them a client from the internet, and what is this thing called internet, and how why they should give me the lowest available rate on the internet, and so on. And that was extremely tough for me. And I remember just first couple of weeks, all I did was just going to all those meetings and just listening to those guys, sometimes talking bullshit, but I was just trying to understand where they're coming from. It was hard for me to explain them why it makes sense for them to pay me 15% and not 2% of the commission. Because if you are running a hotel and you don't know your real cost of customer acquisition, you don't know how much you can pay. So some hotels wanted to pay only 2%, some of the hotels wanted to pay 50%. because they thought they're just going to mark up the price, which also doesn't make sense anymore. So a lot of education, and then in the end, when it comes to relationships, which kind of leads me to my second adventure in Africa after Jumia, with the Interpol is, when you choose your partners wrongly, then you can just end up in a very, very, very big trouble. I ended up being afraid to run a business on my own because everyone told me you have to have a strong local partner in case something goes wrong, in case of some bad people go after you. What no one told you is sometimes the people you're with can turn out to be bad.
Yeah, I remember.
And,
go ahead. Yeah. So
essentially, what happened is it started like a normal business conflict in the company because we launched a software company. And at some point, I think they just decided that they don't need this white guy anymore. They can continue to run this company on their own. I already did my job. I entered, launched the business, got some clients, got some first funding, and they figured they can do it without me. And they just tried to kick me out of the company, thinking that if they kick me out of the country, they can do it on their own. But they didn't know that, with software, I can try to block myself, protect myself from other country. And after they kicked me out of Nigeria, because my visa got deleted and I had to leave, and I was able to take my company back because it's a software company. Like I said, I can control it from wherever I am. That's when they decided to blackmail me. You're either going to give us the company for nothing, or we're going to bribe the Nigerian police and we will bring you back to Nigeria, and this time you will go to jail. Which what started my huge big adventure on the negative side, which also is in the book, because in the end I had to take Nigerian police to court as the first foreigner in the history of Nigeria, and I won. So police owed me money. So that was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's just to summarize. So actually, also the crazy thing, which actually happens in China too, and I think other foreign countries, is, just to be clear, it was foreign partners. It wasn't even local. At least from what I recall in my reading, it was foreign partners that did this.
That was the thing. It was an Indian and an Ethiopian guy. Those were my two business partners, and the Ethiopian even had the American passport. And that was the irony of the whole situation, because I was afraid to do a business with a Nigerian because of the bad PR of Nigeria, the scammers and everything. Yeah. And in the end, the American guy and the Indian guy tried to screw me, and then Nigerians helped me. Yeah, so that was the big lesson.
It's true. I mean, it seems similar in China, although there are, I don't know about Nigeria, but in China, there's definitely a lot of ones with local partners taking advantage, similar situation where they think they don't need you anymore. You maybe delivered the initial value. They think you're not adding value. So they try to find a way to get rid of you. But what a lot of people don't realize is, like you said, it's foreigners or other expats that you meet in the bar, you meet in the social life, you get a relationship, you can connect with more on a culture basis that they think that I don't know. I think a lot of times ex-foreigners outside their country think they can get away with this stuff because they're not in their home country and they can kind of cheat and steal. I've also noticed.
But it's not that easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept because now we're really we have become a global village with the internet and the technology and everyone speaking English or Canton or Mandarin, right?
Mandarin, Cantonese Mandarin.
But then we still have to work around those nation borders, those legal structures within those countries, which kind of are not up to date with where the world is now. Which is, like, for example, what was the problem with my case? Yeah, I'm this Polish guy doing business in Nigeria, and there was Interpol involved at some point in my case because my business partner bribed the Nigerian police. All you have to do is to go to bribe one, like, very average Nigerian policeman. You just give him some money, he'll sign a paper, and then with that paper, you can have me arrested anywhere in the world as long as there's a country which is a part of Interpol. Because you bribed some average policeman somewhere in Nigeria.
Is there a SaaS app for that?
Sorry?
I'm making a joke.
Is there an app for that?
arrest your friend. Arrestyourfriend.com.
I'm gonna buy this domain.
Oh, that would be a bad April Fool's joke. You know, you just get somebody, or your friend, arrested at the airport, and then it's like April Fool's, and then it like takes the handcuffs off, man.
That would be a good one. Yeah, that would be a good one. Actually, in Poland, I heard that in lockdown, when you were tired of sitting in the house with your family, you would hire someone to come to pretend they're from police to take you because they thought you have corona or an
Oh, there you
ambulance
go.
just to get you out of home.
There you go. Yeah, so this is also a good lesson, right? People think, oh, I can trust another foreigner, another expat. It's safe, but you got to protect yourself no matter what. And yeah, I mean, I remember you had said you were traveling to see your girlfriend, and then you went back to Poland, but there was a flight change, and yeah, you were basically trying to leave Poland, and then you got, I believe it was, you were at least traveling
Yeah,
in Europe, and then you get I've had these actually, not at that level, but I've had those where the immigration agents looking at you and looking at the screen and looking at you, and then and then somebody comes to talk to you. Like
yeah, it's the worst. Yeah,
that is the scariest feeling.
even
Yeah.
today, every time I'm at the airport, obviously not as often because of Corona, but everything, just ended up. The whole case finished last year. Everything ended up positively. I was able to, defend myself, prove my innocence, and so on. But even though every time I would travel through the airport, I would have to give my passport to anyone in a uniform, your adrenaline level just goes up. It already stays in your
Yeah,
body.
yeah. I have similar, I
Oh, yeah, what happened
I
to you?
haven't been arrested in an airport, but there's been
But there
some
was a problem, yeah?
issues. There's been
Yeah,
issues
yeah.
with visas and stuff. It's just scary. Yeah, I know. So it's just because that's where they check you. That's where they put the ID in the database. We've had other guests on the show that couldn't leave China because there was a lawsuit against them, and he didn't even know that there was a lawsuit against them because he didn't get a phone call. And
Okay.
they didn't arrest him, but they wouldn't let him leave. So he's actually stuck in China. He's an Australian entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
He
And
got
he's still
sued
stuck.
until he pays off his debt, which
Oh, wow.
actually, yeah. And I can say the show is interesting. He's John Graham. He sold his gym basically, but basically a lot of times you find out you're in trouble at borders. Borders are always, and immigration is where you find out if there's a problem on your, while you were in
Yeah,
that country or any other
it's
country.
always
That's
at the border.
that's
Yeah.
where these things are these things are run and checked. So let's this could be much longer, but we're both busy, and I think people could read your book for the ins and outs of this. But I do want to talk about
Yeah.
Africa. You were there earlier. Now we're in 2020. I mean, still probably early. I mean, what do you think of the Africa when you started, Africa now, and maybe the Africa future?
Africa is
And
still
I'm so,
very, very
am
early.
I being general by saying
Yeah,
Africa? I mean,
I
obviously it's
know.
a massive continent. Like there's
It's
probably different
it's
markets
54
all.
countries and obviously hundreds of languages and thousands of ethnic groups and so on. But you have to somehow generalize, especially when you're talking about the potential. Yeah, it's still very early. You have more than 1 billion of people, but their purchasing power is super small. It will only get better if the economy gets better and if the governments get better. But if someone enters early enough and then can grow together with the market, like I told you, because the winner takes it all many times,
Yeah.
everyone is trying to raise enough money and be in Africa early enough and then have enough money to survive until it gets really,
Mm,
really good. That's how I see it. Because still, Africa is nowhere near India or China. Again, I'm comparing continents to countries because China and India are just so big. Yeah.
true,
Um,
true.
but Africa is nowhere near in terms of purchasing power. Yeah, you have 1 billion of people, but maybe 5% of them make more than $1,000 per month, and so on. So there's still a long way to go, and the disproportion between the rich and the poor, and so on, the infrastructure challenges. So it's extremely, extremely early still. I'm in e-commerce. My focus is on e-commerce in Africa, not because it's so much money to make it there right now. I'm just there for the long game, and I can wait because I have also other things to do. But right now, what is extremely booming in Africa is definitely farming and food, because Africa just imports way too much food, and the soil is way too good to import it. So if anyone is doing anything with food production or any technology or even just production itself, that's where that revolution is happening.
Okay.
And then definitely fintech, because fintech, so insurance, loans, and simple money transfers. This is the type of product everyone needs. Doesn't matter if you have $1 a day or you have $1 million a month. At some point, you will get an insurance, you will send someone money, you will borrow some money. And with fintech, you can reach everyone having a phone without having to build the structure and operations in local offices. So now the big scramble is happening in terms of fintech. This is where the big change will happen in the next 2 to 4 years. Everything else needs to wait. That's how I see it.
Okay. Also, one of my top blog posts is how to get a U.S. bank account as a non-American, and I have tons of Nigerians messaging us every day.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a solution for them, I don't know, I a random one, but looking to help them.
Everyone wants to have, yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. So that you kind of hit the next question with the opportunities in the markets. I think it's just always general advice, but I think getting towards the end of our our chat here has
Yeah.
been great. What's some advice people, it's kind of general, but say talking to your younger self, and there's opportunity to go. Obviously, it seems like yes, go. What are some things you would tell your younger self if you were going to do it again, or tell somebody listening to getting into this?
This is going to sound very cheesy, because I really think that all the knowledge, all the good advice are out there. People just don't stick to them. The best advice are the ones that you stick to. That's all I would say. Just like with diet, the best diet is the one you can stick to. I think the mistake I've done is I went to business too fast, because I dropped out of university. I wanted to be like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. It didn't work. Then you realize that there were actually exception of the rule. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, the highest probability is for you to first work for someone, finish good university, and then go to business after you're 30, because then you already so well experienced, and most of the mistakes you have done, someone else has paid for them. I would definitely study a little bit longer at a good university, not because the quality of the knowledge is so good, but because I'm going to meet some great friends, and just by chance, some of them will become very successful, and then maybe it's good to know them from the early days.
Interesting.
That's how I see it. Yeah, I guess I went to entrepreneurship too fast, and I believe that if you have what it takes, you're still gonna make it. And sometimes starting later will allow you to finish faster, just because the road will be without so many mistakes.
Okay, that's really good. I think it's a little bit unique. I think a lot of people nowadays say skip school, or jump. You don't need college and stuff like that. So that's really insightful. Thanks for that. And of course, the book we keep mentioning it, but it's called Chasing Black Unicorns, and you have that domain, so you can type that one in, or I got it on Amazon, or you have all the different book formats. But it's the full title, which we mentioned Interpol. Chasing Black Unicorns, How Building the Amazon of Africa Put Me on Interpol's Most Wanted List. So
correct. And the website is also chasingblackunicorns.com. You can find all the information about the book, about myself, and also about the foundation, because I think we didn't mention this. All the revenue from the book goes to charity. Yeah.
Yeah, Maya. So you're putting all the income of the sales into the impactful charity initiatives, such as Maya Foundation, which is awesome, man. I think then that's it. But definitely, I think people should check it out. It's a big book, and I went through the whole thing. And while I remember I saw it, I'm like, Africa, and I'm in Asia. But I always like these stories. I always like these. I think there is big relationships between the two, especially for like a foreigner, a Westerner, trying to dive in, and the experiences you go through and the changes. I think the biggest one I highly recommend people to leave your home country or at least your hometown, go to another city outside of you from your hometown friends. And I think just anything to break the mold you're born into, I think it's the best way to see the world. And of course, we're in Corona phase right now. Hopefully, it'll be ending sometime soon. But I think that's the best way to really learn about
Yeah,
yourself. So
correct. Thanks so much for the invitation, man. I really enjoyed the call. You
yeah,
stay
this was
safe,
great.
and
Yeah,
let's chat maybe some in couple months from now. See where we both are at.
sure. Do you enjoy these podcasts? And we create so much content here. Our team is basically a content team. We help a few other people with their shows, help people with their blogs and content. We have a huge network of websites. If you want to work with us, see what we're up to, contentinvestments.com is a little mini site for that. Thanks for those that are subscribing. Thank you so much, Marek. It was really, really cool. I felt a little bit of similarities, coming out to Asia, following the passions. We even had some overlaps with different companies that we had encountered, and he has really got an amazing story, and it's a great book. Again, check it out. Chasing Black Unicorns on Amazon and various channels. Links in the show notes. We have always try our best to put all the information into our extensive show notes at globalfromasia.com. And we also have a newsletter and other things happening. So check those things out. Thank you, Mark. And I learned some things. It's true. We got to just take more challenges. We got to take more risks. I've almost stopped taking risks this year. I'm just trying to kind of get through this year. I hope next year is better. But wherever you are, keep learning, keep preparing. I'm doubling down on online. I mentioned earlier online events, online networking. It's pretty awesome, though, because we can do that from anywhere. We don't need to worry, what we're going through, where we are, or travel. And I'm going to keep this one short, the outro today. Thanks again for listening. I really, really appreciate everybody here. Have a great day. See you later.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.